there may be more here, even sexier than a campaign finance law violation.
Well, is anything sexier than a campaign finance law violation involving? Yeah. Look, I think what you're talking about is the stream of lies and how a first lie might not actually trigger a criminal felony, but a later lie might. We've reported on this show why it's unlikely that the theory that this was a campaign donation would ensnare people. But that does not mean, as you and other lawyers I think have discussed, that there aren't these financial issues, because lying to a bank is a biggie. Hal Raines, I want to play for you another portion of the Fox News empire where all these stories get sort of slowly and painfully unspooled. Here's Neil Cavuto, a longtime loyal Fox anchor, putting out his criticism about all this.
Let me be clear, Mr. President. How can you drain the swamp if you're the one who keeps muddying the waters? Your base probably might not care, but you should. I guess you've been too busy draining the swamp to ever stop and smell the stink you're creating. That's your doing. That's your stink. Mr. President, that's your swamp.
Hal, what does that tell you about the political side and the Fox media side of this? Too much for even some of them.
Well, I hope they haven't let Rupert Murdoch find out that they discovered journalism over there. But I think it made me sad to see Rudy floundering on Sean Hannity's show. In 1993, I was the newly appointed editorial page editor of the New York Times, and my colleagues and I decided we could not endorse Rudy because he was insensitive and overzealous. Well, it turned out that a zealot was exactly what was needed to fix a very broken city. So I remember him when he was successful. It's scary now to think about him in this enfeebled state, it seems to me, advising a president who is frantic and unstable to begin with. So I think it defies description to try to figure out who to choose between Trump and Rudy as being more dangerous right now, but Trump, because he's president, obviously is the more dangerous.
Well, Joyce, you hear Howell's prescription there, an enfeebled zealot. It does not seem that Rudy Giuliani and his public performances, respectfully observed, it does not seem that he has a full mastery of what's happening and how to execute on it.
Perhaps the most headline statement that came out of a former U.S. attorney's mouth in the course of this week's event was when he called the FBI agents who were working on the case in the Southern District of New York stormtroopers, comparing the people that he had worked with and served alongside to Nazi soldiers. That was really a shocking thing to hear coming out of his mouth, and it's consistent with the strategic missteps he's taken this week. He's done nothing to move the president further away from criminal danger. He's done nothing to clarify the story. If anything, he's just made a more difficult path forward for the lawyers who will work with him and who will have to come behind him and clean up this week's disarray.
Howell, I want to turn to you for a more difficult question. But we know from your long service in journalism, you're good at this kind of thing. I want to ask you about the negative space in the painting, the thing that's not happening, that we were always told would happen because the Christian right and the conservative values organizations and the evangelical right care deeply about the personal behavior of politicians and especially the president. And what might have been missed amidst all of this super drama this week and all of the people putting their feet in their mouth and issuing their clarifications is the president now has squarely admitted to paying this woman in direct connection to the allegations of this extramarital affair. And I ask you for your view of why we're not hearing any outrage from any of those groups affiliated with Donald Trump and the Republican Party.
Ari, I was thinking about that today. As an Alabamian, I remember when only a small group of people in Alabama, the black preachers of the state, were willing to say that the South's governments were immoral and unconstitutional. That's now accepted wisdom, but the entire white church of the South was silenced, not to mention the politicians and the business community. What I'm wondering now, what I'm not hearing is any statement of outrage. Where are the preachers of America when morality is legitimately at the center of our national life? And I think Director Comey was correct today on CBS when he said this is about values and supporting our institutions, and it's imperative that Americans who believe in the normal political process and the rule of law start speaking out. And that's what's missing in the picture to me.
Michael?
Yes, and I suppose I would say, in addition to asking where are the preachers, on a different plane, I suppose, where are the lawyers? Respect for the rule of law, respect for law enforcement.
Michael, I see the lawyers all over the place.
Well, where are the lawyers who aren't on someone's payroll speaking out about the basic issues that we have a rule of law? You had Donald Trump today going before the NRA trying to change the subject from the Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen issue by attacking Robert Mueller to the NRA to cheers. This is a degradation of the entire view of law enforcement and of the rule of law, which has now become a political fight. It's already in the arena of fighting over impeachment, of fighting over votes in Congress. And we all need to remember, on the Russia matter, on all these other things, what the fundamental deep issues are that are at stake here. This is not just a dramatic, if overwritten script. This is really about what our Constitution and rule of law stand for.
Right, and how does the script end? That really, to the points I think each of you are making tonight, that's up to everyone. That's up to us to figure out where the lines are. Joyce was speaking about the really horrific stormtrooper comment coming from someone who actually was literally protected by those people. I mean, physically, with guns. Howell and Michael speaking about the people who defend our institutions, our laws, and our ethics to the extent we have a public discussion of them in this country. So thanks to each of you for kicking off the show. Howell and Michael leave. Joyce, stay with me. I have other questions for you.